This is a quick look at the Bootstrap grid code, and you can go to the Bootstrap grid page and have a look at how a grid is set up. In this case, it has a div container, it has a row, then it has, in this case, 3 columns, and they're 3 columns all evenly spaced out because there's 3, it divides it into thirds, and that's how it gets its column. But we're going to look at a different example. We're going to look at this one here, which is our div container. There's our row. Then we also have colMD6 and another class, colMD6 again. What that does is divides the page into 2 columns. Remember, the page is divided, if you look up here, it's actually divided into 12 equal columns. So in any of those divisions, we can make up our columns that we want. In this case, we can divide into 6. So let's grab that code. We'll just go copy, go back to our page, settings, and we're going to add that code into our page. You should be getting used to this by now. There is our 2 columns, MD6, MD6. At the moment, we can't actually see the shape of those columns very well because we don't have much content. So let's put some content in there. Let's go to our text generator and put some content in. So there's our first bit of content. And for our second bit of content, we're just going to put an image in. And I'll just choose browse and go to recent and grab this one. So we won't put any information on there yet. This is just purely for an exercise of showing you how this works. What I can also do is put a background by using inspect, looking at that div, background color, and apply a background color to it. That's not the background color I'd like. I might just use a nice light gray, just like that. Because we also can't see the size and shape of this other column, I'm just going to inspect and give it a background color as well. In this case, it's Alice Blue. So we can see what our grids look like. Let's click Save and Display. So you can see now we've divided our page into 2 columns, 1 row, put an image on one side and some text on the other. So that looks a lot more presentable than having the text and a random image sitting somewhere underneath it. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, if we resize our page, imagine we're on a mobile device, you'll notice that at a certain point, suddenly the picture disappears. And it's not disappearing, the picture is actually dropping below the text. It's a little bit close there, so we should put some padding on there. But the idea of responsiveness is that as the device changes or the screen size changes, the content becomes responsive and adjusts to make sure that it fits it in the best possible way. So in this case, the column on the left and the column on the right sit one above the other. So it's always the column on the left, or the columns on the left sit higher than the columns on the right. So if you're thinking of the workflow of your content, which also does bring to a point, if you decide to say in here, look at the image on the right, check out the image on the right, but they're on a mobile phone or they're on a tablet device, that image may not be on the right anymore. So you can't always assume that the images or the placement of things are going to be in the same place depending on the screen size and how it's been modified. So that's what the Bootstrap grid does and how it works responsively.